She had 2 seconds to decide. Let the sniper's bullet kill the mafia boss during his own engagement toast, or throw herself at the most dangerous man in Seoul and risk everything. The red dot was already gliding across his chest when she moved. His fiancée turned to look. The crowd held their breath. And Amara did the one thing a waitress should never do. She grabbed Jay Hun Ryu by his silk tie and kissed him like her life depended on it. The champagne glass exploded in his hand. The bullet missed. But the real danger? It was just beginning. Hey everyone, before we dive into this story, I need you to do something for me. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever had to make a split-second decision that changed everything? Your engagement keeps this story alive. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button because what Amara does next will have you on the edge of your seat. This is a story about a woman who saved a killer's life and became his obsession. Let's begin. The music stopped first, then the laughter. Then every single conversation in the ballroom died like someone had cut the power to reality itself. I was still pressed against him, still tasting champagne and adrenaline, and the kind of mistake that gets people disappeared. Jay Hun Ryu's lips were warm, his body unnaturally still, and when I finally pulled back, his dark eyes locked onto mine with the intensity of a man deciding whether to thank me or bury me. The shattered champagne glass glittered on the marble floor between us like a constellation of evidence. Crystal shrapnel, proof that I wasn't insane, proof that the bullet had been real. Jay Hun, the voice cut through the silence like a knife through silk. Cold, precise, lethal. I turned. She was every inch of the woman I could never be. Hana Soyen Min stood 5 feet away in a white gown that probably cost more than my yearly rent, her champagne flute still raised mid-toast, her expression frozen somewhere between shock and homicide. The diamonds at her throat caught the chandelier light. Her eyes caught fire. "What," she said, each word a bullet of its own, "is the meaning of this?" I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. What was I supposed to say? Sorry I kissed your fiancé, but there was a sniper and I panicked? That would go over well at a party where half the guests probably had body counts higher than their credit scores. Jay Hun didn't move, didn't explain, didn't even look at her. He was still looking at me. "Security," Hannah snapped, her voice rising like a siren. "Remove this woman immediately. I want her arrested. I want her—" No. One word. Quiet. Absolute. Jay Hun finally released me, but his hand caught my wrist before I could step back. His grip was firm, possessive, and somehow gentle all at once. He turned to face Hannah, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. "She stays." Hannah's face went white, then red, then something closer to purple. "Have you lost your mind? This waitress just humiliated you in front of everyone who matters. She saved my life." His voice never rose, didn't need to. Every head in the ballroom turned toward the shattered glass, then toward the balcony where the shadows were just a little too deep, a little too empty now. The crowd stirred, whispers ignited like brush fire. Hannah's fury crystallized into something sharper, something calculating. She looked at me the way a queen looks at a peasant who's touched the crown. Then she's either incredibly observant, or she knew it was coming. Oh no. Jay Hun's grip on my wrist tightened. "Exactly," he said, softly, dangerously, "which is why she's coming with me." He pulled me toward the exit, past Hannah's trembling rage, past 200 armed criminals who now knew my face, and into the kind of trouble that doesn't come with an escape route. The room was smaller than I expected. No windows, one door, a single light fixture that hummed like a wasp trapped in glass. The kind of place where people went in whole and came out in pieces. Jay Hun locked the door behind us. The click echoed louder than the gunshot that never hit him. "Sit," he gestured to a leather chair that looked expensive and felt like a trap. I stayed standing. My legs were shaking, but I'd be damned if I'd sit on command like a dog. "I didn't—" "You knew," He moved closer, and suddenly the room felt even smaller. His tailored suit should have made him look civilized. Instead, the neck tattoos crawling up his collar made him look like a violence wrapped in Armani. You knew. The laser sight, the trajectory, the exact second to move. You knew. I saw it. My voice came out, steadier than I felt. There's a difference.
Is there? He tilted his head, studying me the way a snake studies a mouse. Because in my experience, waitresses don't tackle mafia bosses to save their lives. They scream, they run, they let nature take its course and collect their paychecks. He stepped closer. You did none of those things. My back hit the wall. I hadn't even realized I was retreating. So let's try this again. His voice dropped to something soft and deadly. Who sent you? Was it the Min family? The Yakuza? Or did Hana pay you to make it look like I was having an affair before she had me killed? Nobody sent me. The words exploded out of me. I saw the red dot on your chest during your toast. I saw it move from your heart to your head, and I knew I had maybe 2 seconds before it fired. So I did the only thing I could think of. I got you out of position. He didn't blink, didn't move, just watched me with those dark, calculating eyes. You're either telling the truth, he said quietly, or you're the best liar I've ever met. I'm telling the truth. Then prove it. He pulled out his phone, swiped once, and turned the screen toward me. Security footage. The balcony. Empty now, but I could see the angle, the sightline, the perfect vantage point. Show me where the shooter was. I looked at the image. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was a test. If I got it wrong, I was the assassin. If I got it right, I was a witness to attempted murder at a mafia engagement party. Either way, I was dead. I pointed to the second-floor balcony, northeast corner, behind the marble column where the shadows pooled deepest. There, that's where I saw the glint. That's where the laser was coming from. Jay Hun stared at the screen, then at me. Then he did something I didn't expect. He smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a man who just found a new weapon. Congratulations, Amara Blackwood. He pocketed his phone. You just became the most valuable person in this building, and the most hunted. Wait, I pushed off the wall, my server's instincts finally catching up to my survival instincts. How do you know my name? Jay Hun didn't even glance up from his phone. I know everyone who enters my events. Full background check, employment history, social security number, bank accounts. He paused. Your favorite coffee order is an oat milk latte with an extra shot. You're 3 months behind on rent, and you have a scar on your left shoulder from a knife wound you got when you were 16. Ice flooded my veins. That's standard procedure. He looked up, and something in his expression shifted. And right now, it's the only reason you're still breathing, because I know you're exactly what you appear to be, a waitress with hypervigilance disorder and terrible luck. I prefer to call it situational awareness. Call it whatever you want. He moved to the door, then stopped. His hand hovered over the handle. The shooter's name is Kaito Ren, former military sniper, current freelance assassin. He's killed 17 people in the last 2 years, and not one of them saw him coming. My throat went dry. Former, as in he's still in the building. Jay Hun's voice was flat, matter of fact, like he was discussing the weather instead of my imminent murder. Then what am I supposed to do? My voice cracked. Go back out there and finish my shift? Smile and serve champagne while a trained killer hunts me down? No. He opened the door. 2 men in black suits appeared immediately, their hands resting on concealed weapons. You're coming with me. I have an apartment, a life. I can't just... Your apartment has a broken lock on the back window. Ground floor, fire escape access, no security cameras. He rattled off my address, like he'd memorized the layout. Kaito could walk in, kill you in your sleep, and be gone before anyone noticed you were missing. How do you... I told you, I know everything. He nodded to his men. Pack her things, bring them to the estate. She's staying in the East Wing until this is handled. The estate? I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I'm not going to your house. I don't even know you." Jay Hun turned one last time. His expression was unreadable, almost pitying. "You knew me well enough to kiss me. Now you know me well enough to survive." The door closed, the lock clicked, and just like that, I stopped being Amara Blackwood, invisible waitress. I became Amara Blackwood, the mafia boss's accidental prisoner.
The slap came out of nowhere. 1 second, I was being escorted down a marble hallway by Jay Hyun's security. The next, Hana So-young Men materialized from a side corridor like a designer-clad ghost, and her palm connected with my face hard enough to make my ears ring. "You little whore!" The guards reached for her, but she was already moving. She grabbed a fistful of my uniform and slammed me against the wall. Up close, I could see the cracks in her perfect foundation, the mascara threatening to run, the fury that made her beautiful face look almost ugly. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Her voice was a hiss, low enough that the guards couldn't hear, venomous enough to kill. "I have spent 3 years building this alliance, 3 years playing the dutiful fiancé to a man who barely looks at me. And you nobody, ruin everything with one pathetic kiss? I wasn't trying to. I don't care what you were trying to do." Her grip tightened. Her perfectly manicured nails dug into my collarbone. "You humiliated me in front of every family that matters. My father will hear about this. The Min clan will demand blood." Something in her tone made my survival instincts flare. Is that a threat? It's a promise. She leaned closer and I smelled champagne on her breath. Champagne and something else, something chemical. "You think Jay Hyun will protect you? He protects assets, and the moment you stop being useful, you'll disappear like everyone else who gets too close." "Miss Min," one of the guards stepped forward. "Mr. Ryu said the woman isn't to be touched." Hana released me with a shove that made me stumble. She smoothed her gown, adjusted her diamonds, and the mask of perfection slid back into place. But her eyes stayed cold, dead. "Of course," she smiled at the guard, sweet as poison. "I was simply welcoming our guest." She turned to leave, then paused, glanced back over her shoulder. "By the way, Amara," my name sounded like a curse in her mouth. "That sniper, the one who tried to kill my fiancé?" She tilted her head, and something in her expression made my blood run cold. "I wonder how he knew exactly where Jay Hyun would be standing during the toast. Such specific timing, almost like someone told him." My heart stopped. "Almost," she continued, her smile widening, "like someone wanted this engagement to end permanently." She walked away, heels clicking on marble like a countdown. The guards exchanged glances. One of them cleared his throat. "Miss Blackwood, we should—" She knew. The words tumbled out. She knew about the assassination attempt. That's a serious accusation. She just threatened me. She's angry the shot missed, and she wants me to know she's involved. I looked at the guard, my mind racing through every micro-expression I'd cataloged from the ballroom. Where was Hana standing when the shot was fired? The guard hesitated. "Behind Mr. Ryu, to his left." "Why?" "Because," I said slowly, pieces clicking into place, "because she was standing exactly where the bullet wouldn't hit her." The guard's hand moved to his earpiece, and somewhere in the distance, I heard Hana's laughter echo through the halls. The estate was obscene, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's skyline, marble everything, art that probably cost more than my entire bloodline had ever earned. The East Wing alone was bigger than my apartment building. Jae Hyun stood at the window of his study, whiskey in hand, silhouetted against the city lights like some kind of beautiful, terrifying painting. "Hana tried to kill you." Not a question, a statement. "She threatened me," I corrected, still tasting blood from where my teeth had cut my lip. "There's a difference." "Not in my world." He turned, and the light caught his tattoos on his neck, names inked in Korean characters. "In my world, threats are just promises waiting to happen." She knew about the sniper. I stepped closer, my fear temporarily overridden by adrenaline and anger.
She positioned herself away from the line of fire. She knew the exact timing of the toast, and she's furious the shot missed. I know. I blinked. You know? I've known Hana was involved since the moment you kissed me. He took a sip of whiskey, unbothered. The question was whether you were working with her or against her. Congratulations, you passed. This was another test? My voice pitched higher. She could have actually hurt me. But she didn't. He set down his glass. Because she's smart enough to know that touching you now would confirm her guilt. She's playing a longer game.
Then arrest her, expose her. Why are we standing here talking when... Because I have no proof. Jay Hun moved closer, each step deliberate. Hana's father controls half the ports in Busan. Her family has connections I can't afford to sever without evidence. If I accuse her without proof, it starts a war, and wars are expensive. So what, she just gets away with trying to murder you? No. He stopped, inches away, close enough that I could smell expensive cologne and danger. She gets trapped, and you're going to help me do it. My stomach dropped. Absolutely not. I saved your life. I didn't sign up for... You're already involved. His voice was soft, final. The moment you kissed me, you became part of this. Kaito Ren wants you dead. Hana wants you dead. And the only reason you're still breathing is because I decided you were more useful alive. Useful how? He smiled. It was the smile of a man about to make an offer I couldn't refuse. Hana's jealous, possessive. She can't stand the idea that I might want someone beneath her station. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture was gentle, practiced, lethal. So we give her exactly what she fears. We make her believe I'm obsessed with you, that the kiss wasn't random, that you're not just a witness, you're my new fixation. You want me to pretend to be your mistress? I want you to pretend to be my weakness. His fingers lingered near my jaw. Jealous people make mistakes. Hana will either confess or she'll try again. And when she does, I'll have everything I need to destroy her family's reputation before I destroy her. And if she tries to kill me first, then you'll have me. He dropped his hand, stepped back. 24-hour protection, access to resources you've never dreamed of, and when this is over, enough money to disappear anywhere in the world. I should have said no, should have run, but he was right. I was already drowning. How long? I whispered. However long it takes. He extended his hand. Do we have a deal, Amara? I looked at his hand, at the man who held my life in his palm, and I shook it. We have a deal. The dress cost more than my car, probably more than my car was worth when it was new. Midnight blue silk that clung to every curve I'd spent years hiding under shapeless uniforms. The diamonds at my throat felt like a collar. I look ridiculous. I stared at my reflection in the full-length mirror. A stranger stared back. You look dangerous. Jay Hun appeared behind me, immaculate in a black suit that probably cost more than the dress. His eyes met mine in the mirror. That's the point. The point is to make Hana jealous, not to make me look like I'm playing dress-up in someone else's life. Then stop standing like a waitress. He stepped closer, his hand settling on my waist. The touch was possessive, deliberate. You're not here to serve anyone anymore, Amara. You're here to be seen. I don't know how to be seen. Then learn fast. His thumb traced small circles against the silk. Tonight, we're attending the Min family gala. Hana will be there, her father will be there, and every pair of eyes in that room will be watching to see if the woman who kissed me at my engagement party was a mistake or a declaration. My heart hammered. What if I mess this up? You won't. You survived a sniper, an interrogation, and Hana's wrath in one night. You can survive a dinner party. The restaurant was the kind of place where they didn't list prices because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. Crystal chandeliers, live piano music, and at a table near the center, Hana sat with her father, her smile sharp enough to draw blood. Jay Hun's hand never left the small of my back as we entered. Every head turned. Whispers ignited like wildfire. Smile, he murmured against my ear, like you're exactly where you belong. I smiled. It felt like baring teeth. We were seated at a table with a perfect view of Hana. She watched us over her wine glass, her expression perfectly neutral, but her knuckles were white against the stem.
"I know she's going to snap," I whispered. "Good. That's when people reveal themselves." Jay Hun poured wine, like we were on an actual date. "And if she reveals herself by hiring another assassin, then we'll deal with it." His hand found mine across the table. His thumb brushed my knuckles. The gesture looked romantic, felt like a leash. For now, we play the part.
Which is what, exactly? A man who can't stop looking at the woman who saved his life. His eyes locked on mine. And a woman who's trying very hard to pretend she doesn't want him looking. Heat crawled up my neck. I'm not pretending anything. Aren't you? He leaned forward, his voice dropping to something intimate, something that made the air between us feel charged. Your pulse is racing. You haven't touched your wine, and you've been staring at my mouth for the last 30 seconds. I have not. You have. He smiled, slow, devastating. It's all right, Amara. We're supposed to look obsessed with each other. The question is, how much of it is acting? Across the room, Hannah stood abruptly. Her chair scraped. Her father grabbed her wrist, but she yanked free and walked toward the exit, her composure finally cracking. Jae-hyun's smile widened. "And that," he said softly, "is how you win." But when his hand squeezed mine under the table, I wasn't sure anymore who was winning and who was drowning. The car exploded 3 seconds after we got out. One moment, Jae-hyun's driver was pulling away from the restaurant. The next, fire and metal were raining down on the street like the end of the world. The shockwave threw me into Jae-hyun's chest. His arms locked around me as glass shattered across the pavement. "Move!" He dragged me toward the alley between buildings. His security swarmed, guns drawn, scanning rooftops and shadows. But I was already scanning too. Old habits, waitress habits, looking for exits, threats, anything out of place. And I saw it. "The waiter," my voice cut through the chaos. "The one who brought your wine. He's gone." Jae-hyun's head snapped toward me. "What?" "The restaurant. There was a waiter who kept circling our table. Asian male, late 20s, black uniform. My mind raced through every detail I'd cataloged without thinking. He had a scar through his left eyebrow, military posture, and he was the only server who never made eye contact with guests. He wasn't serving, he was watching. Kaido, Jae-hyun's jaw tightened. He was inside the whole time. He knew which car was yours, which door you'd exit, the exact route your driver would take. I grabbed his arm. He's not done. The explosion was just to flush us into the open. Then where? The first bullet shattered the brick inches from Jae-hyun's head. I didn't think. I tackled him behind a dumpster as 2 more shots punched through the space where we'd been standing. His guards returned fire, but the shots were coming from somewhere high, somewhere with perfect vantage. The hotel across the street. I pointed at the building. 4th floor, corner window. It's the only angle with a clear shot into this alley. Jae-hyun barked orders into his radio. "Northeast building, 4th floor. Take him alive if possible." He won't be there by the time they arrive. I knew it instinctively. He's already moving. That's what I would do. You're not an assassin. No, but I served at hotels like that for 2 years. I scanned the building's layout, remembering every service entrance, every shortcut staff used to avoid guests. There's a kitchen exit on the ground level, back alley access, no cameras because the garbage trucks use it. That's where he'll run. Jae-hyun stared at me for half a second, then he grabbed his phone. Southwest corner, kitchen exit. Cut him off. We waited in silence. Gunfire had stopped. Sirens wailed in the distance. My hands were shaking now that the adrenaline was crashing. "You saved me again." Jae-hyun's voice was quiet, almost wondering. "I told you I notice things. Most people notice things. You catalog them, process them, turn them into survival." He reached out, wiped blood from my cheek where glass had nicked me. "Where did you learn to do that?" When you grow up invisible, you learn to see everything, because the moment you stop paying attention is the moment someone takes advantage. His expression shifted, something like understanding, something like regret. "Amara, boss." A guard appeared, dragging a handcuffed man in black, scar through his left eyebrow, dead eyes that found mine immediately. "We got him." Kaido Ren smiled. "Hello, little witness," he said. "I've been looking forward to meeting you properly." And suddenly, saving Jay Hun felt like the easy part. They took Kaido to a secure location. I didn't ask where, didn't want to know. Some questions had answers that kept you awake at night. Back at the estate, Jay Hun dismissed his security with a gesture. We stood alone in his private study, surrounded by expensive silence and the weight of everything that had almost happened. You should rest. He poured himself whiskey with steady hands. Mine were still trembling. The guest room has... Why do you have their names tattooed on your neck? The question escaped before I could stop it. He froze, glass halfway to his lips. I notice things, remember? I stepped closer, exhaustion making me bolder than I should be. The tattoos, they're not designs, they're Korean names, and you touch them sometimes when you think no one's watching. He was quiet for so long I thought he'd order me out. Instead, he set down the glass and loosened his tie, unbuttoned the top of his collar. The tattoos crawled higher than I'd seen before. 5 names, maybe 6. My mother. He traced the first character. My younger brother. 3 men who took bullets meant for me. His finger stopped on the name at the base of his throat. And my best friend, who I killed myself because he betrayed me to the Yakuza. The air left my lungs. I don't forget the people I lose. His voice was flat, empty. I wear them so every decision I make, I remember what it costs, who it costs. He met my eyes. That's what this life is, Amara. A collection of ghosts you carry until they bury you too. Then why stay in it? I whispered. If it's taken everyone you love, why not walk away? Because walking away doesn't bring them back. It doesn't make me less of a monster. He moved closer, and for the first time, I saw cracks in the armor. He lifted my hand, pressed it flat against his chest where his heart hammered beneath expensive fabric. You saved my life twice. The words came out quiet, devastating. No one has ever done that. Most people wait for me to die so they can take my place. I'm not most people. No. His other hand came up, cupping my face like I was something fragile, something worth protecting. You're the woman who saw a monster and chose to save him anyway, and I don't know if that makes you brave or insane. Maybe both. He smiled, a real smile, small and broken and more genuine than anything I'd seen from him. Maybe both, he echoed, and when he kissed me this time, there was no audience, no strategy, no performance, just 2 people who'd forgotten how to be anything but ghosts, trying to remember what it felt like to be alive. The Ryu estate gleamed like a fortress made of glass and steel, every window a potential entry point, every shadow a place to hide. Amara stood in the center of the marble foyer, her borrowed gown replaced by tactical black, a wire tucked against her collarbone. She wasn't armed, she didn't need to be. Kaido Ren hunted predators, not prey, and tonight she would make herself look like the easiest target in the room. Jay Hun's voice crackled through the earpiece. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do, she whispered back, because somewhere in the chaos of contracts and false affections, she'd stopped pretending. She cared about the man with names tattooed on his neck, the one who'd trusted her when trust was a currency he couldn't afford. The lights flickered once, twice, then the estate plunged into darkness. Amara's heart hammered, but her hands stayed steady. She'd spent years watching, waiting, cataloging every detail that others missed, the faint scent of gun oil, the barely audible creak of the eastern staircase, the way Kaido always moved counterclockwise, a habit from his training she'd noticed during the first attack.
She moved toward the conservatory, glass crunching under her feet from the shattered skylight, right on schedule. Come out, little witness. Kaido's voice drifted from somewhere above. You've been playing dress-up in a world that will devour you. Let me make it quick. Amara stepped into the moonlight, deliberately vulnerable. You're right, I don't belong here. Her voice carried through the empty space. But neither do you, not anymore. The red laser dot appeared on her chest. She didn't move. Hana was never going to pay you, Amara continued, her tone conversational despite the target painted over her heart. Did you know she emptied the offshore account 3 days ago? You've been working for free. The dot wavered. Liar. Check your phone. The transaction receipts are waiting in your encrypted folder. I made sure of it. She smiled, cold and certain. Turns out waitresses are very good at listening to drunk heiresses confess their betrayals. The silence stretched thin as wire. Then the gunshot came. Not at her, but through the window behind her. Jay Hyun's security team had been waiting for Kaido to reveal his position. The assassin dropped from the rafters, disarmed before he hit the ground. Jay Hyun emerged from the shadows, his suit immaculate, his expression carved from ice and fury. He looked at Kaido, then at Amara, then back at the man who'd tried twice to end his life. "The engagement is over," Jay Hyun said flatly, addressing the guards securing Kaido. "Inform the Min family their daughter is no longer welcome in my city, and someone find me Hana, now." He turned to Amara, and for the first time since the night of the kiss, his mask cracked. "You used yourself as bait. I used information as bait. I just happened to be standing in the right spot." His jaw tightened. Then he closed the distance between them and pulled her against his chest, his heartbeat thundering beneath expensive fabric. Never again. Amara leaned into him, finally allowing herself to feel the weight of what she'd just survived. "That's not a promise I can make. Then I'll have to make it worth your while to stay alive." Outside, sirens wailed. Inside, the most dangerous man in Seoul held the woman who'd saved him like she was the only thing keeping him tethered to the world. The diamonds were gone. The engagement was dead, but somewhere between blood and betrayal, they'd found something neither had been looking for: each other.